All right, gonna start a demo on color and shading. This is my grayscale flats that I left off with in my last demo. I think what I want to do is add a little shading so that this ship, this ray, and these sort of background shapes here behind this person have more dimension, so I'm going to add a little bit of shading, a little bit of highlight to them. First thing I'm going to do is select this ship right here and copy it. And I'm going to do a edit, paste special, paste in place. And now I have it on its own layer. Okay. I'm going to start doing some shading now. I'm going to shade this this little spaceship here. So first thing I need to do is decide which shapes I'm going to shade. I think I'll start with, oops, gotta select that layer. I think I'll start with this shape right here. And I think I will prepare a brush. I like to go about 500 pixels on a nice soft shading. We'll go with black. I want that brush to be really soft, so no hardness. And 50% on the opacity is pretty good. Now I don't want to shade on this layer. That's my flats. If I shade on it, I'm going to have a hard time selecting it if I want to do something with it in the future. So I'm going to make a new layer right here. And that's going to be my I'm going to call that main ship shading. And I'm going to go back and rename this main ship. Okay. So I'm on my main ship shading. I got my brush all prepped. I can just go in here now and boom. So I don't have to worry about the edges. Those are being masked by this selection that I made. So that makes shading go a lot quicker. Now I'm going to go back to my ship flats, select this, go back to my main ship shading, grab that brush, and I think I'll put some shading there, pop that corner out, go back to my ship. I'm going to grab up here, go back to my shading layer. I think I'm going to put a little here. So I'm going back and forth, back and forth. And it's easy to forget to go back up here and shade and kind of screw up your flats. So just be really careful about that. Come down here. I think what I'd like to do is just make this whole edge here darker. My brush. Okay, now I think what I'll do next is put some highlights. I think I'll use hard-edged highlights. So I'll prepare a brush for that. I think I'll go about a 50 pixel brush. Hardness at 100. Opacity, when I use a hard brush, a little less, maybe 40 or so. And it's the same deal. I'm going to select this shape, get my brush, make sure I'm on the main ship shading here. And I'm just going to do a little, oops, change that color to white. Just do a little hard-edged highlight there. Don't really like that one. I'll try that again. That's better. I don't worry about it being even a little bit on an angle. It makes it feel a little more natural. All right, I'm going to finish putting my highlights in this main ship. Put some shading and highlights down here in this area underneath my person. And then I'll come back and show you another technique for adding some volume to this abduction ray here. All right, I've got some of my shading done here on my ship and on the sides of this person. You may notice I decided to invert these spaceships. I just thought they would look a little bit cooler if they were in that kind of negative mode. And so I also inverted the shading on here. Now, one thing I want to show you is that once I get this shading done, I always kind of make it darker than I want it. And then I like to adjust it back till I get something that feels about right. I did the same thing with this main ship. This is my shading layer, okay, that I painted earlier. It's at 100% right now. I'm going to pull that back and then maybe come back forward a little bit until I get to just the right spot for that. I'm going to say right about there, about 88%. All right, going to start adding some color now. And the way I'm going to do that is just a hue saturation. It's really quick. It's much faster than trying to paint color in. I think I'll start with a person. I'm going to go with a purple and green color scheme. Good Halloween kind of space alien theme. So I'm going to click on my person layer. I'm going to go to Image, Adjust, Hue, and Sat. I'm going to colorize them. Okay, so I click Colorize, lighten it up a little bit so I can see the color. I'll shoot for a green that I like. That looks pretty good. Actually, I think I'll make him purple. Yeah, purple sounds a lot better. Something about like that. Saturate them up. I think I'm going to make the background green because dark green is not that great looking. Dark purple will look a lot better. So something like that for now. Should work pretty well. Probably adjust that a little bit more later, but that's a good start. I think I'm going to take this ray here, and I think I want to make that green. So I'll go to Image, Adjust, Hue, and Saturation. Colorize. Find a nice green. Probably want to lighten that up a little bit. And that's a pretty good start for that, I think. I assume I'm going to go back in and adjust a lot of these colors later. Here's my main ship. Okay, so I'll click here, not on the shading. The shading will interact on whatever color I give to the main ship. I'll go to Image, Adjust, Hue, and Sat. Once again, I will colorize. I will try to find a nice green. I'll use that same green I used on the ray at 77. Saturate it up a little bit there. And yeah, I can sometimes play around with the lightness and darkness at this point. Although I think that was actually pretty good where I had it. I don't want to get too bright there because I want the focus to be on this character. And then for everything else underneath here, I think I could do just one color. So in order to do that, I'm going to create a adjustment layer. I get that from down here. And what this will do is affect everything underneath it. So that's a real quick thing. Colorize. Get my green, which is 77. Probably don't want that to be all that saturated. So I'll keep that fairly dim for now. And so I keep my tonal, my visual hierarchy looking pretty good. I think these are a little gray. They should probably have just a little bit of purple in them. So I'll go to my person sides, Image, Adjust, Hue, and Saturation here. Colorize. Give them a little bit of that purple. Desat. I don't want a lot of that, just a little bit. I kind of feel like they're a little dark, so I think I'll just go ahead and lighten those up while I'm at it. So even though I pre-adjusted my values in the grayscale, I'm allowing myself to continue to adjust those a little bit as I go. All right, that's my basic color scheme right there. Now once I get my initial color laid in, I like to go in and just kind of take a look at things and do another round of adjustments. I feel like This tone right here could be maybe just a little bluer. So I'll go into hue and sat. Make that a little bluer. Just send it back in space a little bit. Cool it off. I think this person looks pretty good. Could be a little darker. Pop them out a little more saturated. I think that this background here could be actually just a little bit duller. So I'm really pushing the hierarchy, making these things kind of really go back, making this pop, making that go back with a little bit of coolness. I do think that the shading on the rest of the stuff looks pretty good, except for this main ship. I think that shading is a little too much. I'm going to back it off to about here. And I think that ship is looking a little dark. So I think I will click on it and go to Image, Hue Sat. Just lighten it up a little bit. I like to go too far, come back. That's, I think, a little less dark. Maybe come back here, pull that back again a little bit more. So I think that's pretty well tuned in. And now I think I'm ready to start laying in some texture.